third eye awakening. What do you see through your third eye? Do you understand what your third eye is and how to utilize it and how it can work for you in your everyday life, as well as expanding your psychic abilities or intuitive abilities? We're going to discuss the rise of the awareness of the third eye and how to actually know that you're doing it and more on today's show on Elevate with Kristin and KAren. Coming up, stay tuned. Welcome to Elevate, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I'm KAren Swain, your host, and you're listening on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio all over the world. G'day, and welcome to another show, Elevating Consciousness, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I still have to thank KAren for that, because she's the one that gave me the byline of Elevate, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. We were looking at names. Do you remember, Kristin? We were looking at names.
I do.
She put out a few of them, and I said, gee, I like all of those. Can I use all of them? So I used a couple of them. With my co-host, Kristin. Welcome, Kristin. Great to see you again. Who is a rock star and was on ATP Media this week doing an interview. And you did so well. You weren't You weren't as bossy as I am, because we had discussed, not letting the guest drone on and when do I interrupt them? Because, so many people don't know how to share their stories because they get into too much detail. They get into detail that's meaningful to them, but it's not meaningful to the listener. And I have to say, Sean, who I reached out to in 2018 to share his story, and he was still recovering from his NDE, didn't make it on. And I'm thinking he's had all those years to practice, but he still does it. So when people are sort of waffling, I tend to interject and ask a pertinent question. And you did that a little bit. But you're a bit more polite than I am.
I've had years of training in the corporate customer service world, how to get my point across while smiling and being very polite.
Yes. Hey, Vladdy,
hello,
Shirley,
everybody.
Heidi, look at the gang online. I love Shirley. We love you, Shirley. Ooh, yeah, the third eye awakening. She says, yeah. And Vladdy, we're going to talk about what it all means. Hello, KAren, Kristin, and friends, beautiful souls from Colorado, the gorgeous Heidi. Yes. Third eye awakening. Well, a lot of people say when they're becoming aware of their psychic abilities that they have one of the clairs stronger than the other clair. I feel things more than I see things, or I hear things more than I see things, or I see things more than I feel things, or hear things. We sort of try to compartmentalize our clairs, even calling them the clairs, claircognizance, clairvoyance being the seeing. What do we call clair hearing? I can't remember.
Clairaudience.
Audience, whatever it's called.
Audio.
I say, rubbish. You're utilizing all of them, just like you're utilizing all your physical senses. Maybe, says me with glasses on, some are stronger than others, but I'm pretty sure I have crappy eyes because I'm on computers all the time. If I wasn't on computers all the time, I'm sure my eyes would come back. Why not utilize all of them? And I'm going to ask you, Kristin, what does third eye mean to you, like from your perspective? I know you said that I can talk about what the church says about the third eye. I didn't even know the church talked about the third eye, so I'd be interested.
Well, they don't, but this is one of those things that carried over for me was, and this is just going to the Mormon church. And the Mormon church was founded by a young man who was 15 years old, and he had a vision in the forest when he went to go pray, asking for truth. And in this, the first vision is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
God the Father and his son, Jesus Christ, appeared to him and said, none of the churches are true, so go start one and we're going to teach you everything. But what I was taught about that vision is that they were in their magnificent glory and he was not able to see it with his human eyes. And if I were to look upon an angel, I would have to use my spiritual eyes
Oh,
to
they call
see
it
them.
eyes.
And so I grew up with this thing that like somebody having visions and prophetic dreams, that they were using their spiritual eyes.
Uh-huh.
And it took a little while once, my chakras, I felt them activate. And when my third eye actually activated, I was like, this is my spiritual eyes, or is it my third eye? But, it's very centralized in the one. And so that's one of those things that it was easy for me to wrap my head around, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we use different vernacular for it. Like I was talking about in the movie Powder, he was talking about being telepathic, but he didn't use the word telepathy. He said, I can see what people are like on the inside, is how he used it, meaning he was reading their thoughts and their subconscious thoughts and their thoughts. Yeah, we use different vernacular, their spiritual eyes. Yeah, but in truth, we are all utilizing our third eye all the time. All the time. And when we talk about third eye activation or third eye awakening, it's really awakening to the awareness that we are and then being deliberate in how we use it rather than just not knowing about it, being uneducated about it. So I used to have a furniture and homeware shop in my early 30s. And I'm very visual. People say I'm a very visual person. I can see things. I can imagine stuff. I can design stuff or pick stuff out of the ether, like download stuff, like draw stuff or design stuff, or that's all part of the third eye awakening. I remember selling stuff to people in my shop, like a cushion, and one woman said to me, can I take this cushion home and see what it looks like on my couch? And I looked at her and I'm like, you can't visualize that. You've got this red cushion, you've got this white couch. You can't visualize your couch and then imagine what this cushion will look like on your couch. And she's like, no, I have to see it with my outside eyes. And that's being lazy, because we all can imagine. Like when I was discussing this, as I said to you before, I remember a conversation I had many years ago talking about the third eye with somebody. Before I was teaching it when I was a young girl, and I'm saying, well, can you visualize your bedroom? Because we were away at some talk or conference, and we were having lunch. We were talking about the third eye. And she said, yeah, I can visualize my bedroom. And I said, well, that's you using your third eye. And she said, but my bedroom already exists and I already know what it looks like. So it's not me using my third eye. It's just me using my remembrance. But still, you visualizing it, you remembering it, and visualizing it in your mind's eye is the utilization of the third eye. A third eye awakening, as I say, is understanding that, and understanding that imagination is your soul talking to you, because often we imagine stuff, good or bad. When you watch horror movies or terror or the news, something terrible, and then you start imagining that happened to you. Like there's been a lot of shark bites happening in Australia at the moment, and there's all sorts of terror and fear pumped out by the legacy media that wants to keep you afraid of sharks. And so when you see something like that, you think of yourself swimming in the ocean, you see it, and then you see a shark biting you, and then you can imagine this happening to you. That's you utilizing your third eye to create something you don't want to happen. My first thoughts on third eye is the saying, I have two eyes, and to look and one to see. Yeah, Heidi, that's beautiful. I have two eyes to look and one to see. Absolutely. I often think about this with blind people who are physically blind, how they're seeing the world. They're seeing the world often through their third eye. They're seeing the world through their third eye. Yeah, so we're all utilizing our third eye all the time. It's just are we understanding it, and are we knowing what we're seeing? Are we being deliberate in it? Often when you're receiving guidance, as all of us do, they will utilize your third eye. I remember years ago, how old was I? I was in my 30s and struggling to be a, spiritual healer and a single mom raising a kid and, doing all that sort of drama, panic. And my washing machine broke. And this, I called a repairman. I don't know where I found him. A little old guy came and fixed it very, dutifully and didn't charge me a lot. And I was very grateful. And then it broke again. And he came back and he fixed it again and he didn't charge me again. And then it broke again. And now I'm panicking, thinking, what the hell's going on? Why is the universe punishing me? Why is it punishing me? And this little old man that came to fix it never charged me each time he came back. And he came back again. And I thought, something else is going on here that I'm not looking at because I'm in my drama. I'm in my, I can't afford this, oh, poor me story,
Yep.
pity. So I sat in my little garden because the laundry was under the house. You had to come outside to go down into the house, outside the laundry in the little garden. And I asked my guides, why is this happening? What's going on? And I was shown this vision. So this is the guides utilizing my third eye. It was almost like I was inside his colon. It was this massive full color vision being inside the colon. I had been a naturopathic student, so I know what the colon looked like inside and out. And I saw all these ulcers. It's almost like I was a little orb inside this colon looking up at all these. It was so vivid.
Wow.
It was so vivid. But it didn't come with any information. It was just this visual. And so when I'm looking at it, me, as I teach this stuff, I always say, if you don't know what you're looking at, ask. So I said, what am I looking at? And they're saying, you're looking at his colon and he has ulcerative colitis, colitis, ulcers in his colon. So after he fixed the washing machine for the third time, I told him who I was. I told him I was a healer and I asked if I could do a healing on him. And he said, oh, I can't be sick. I'm not allowed to be sick. He said, years ago, I had a lot of my colon chopped out because I had the ulcers in my colon. But my wife is very sick and I have to keep working to support her.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And he was all upset. And I said, I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to charge you. He didn't charge me for the third time coming out to fix the washing machine. So I threw him on the massage table and did what I could. And but it was interesting. He confirmed what I was seeing, but he said, I had that chopped out. I can't have it again. But it had come back. And it was interesting because he said his skin was so thin that he would bump something and it would break and bleed because he wasn't absorbing the nutrients in his intestine.
Oh.
Because of the ulcers they're in his small intestine as well as his large intestine. He was riddled with them. But it was incredible to see that, Kristin. It was like being a little atom inside the colon and looking up.
That sounds like an old-fashioned Disney movie or something like that. Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah, exactly.
Reminding me of. So are you saying he had to keep coming back so you could heal him? Is that why the washer kept breaking?
Yeah, he kept coming back because I was working as a healer, but as I was in my drama, he was needing some help. And he was a stubborn old man that felt like he couldn't get sick because he had to look after his sick wife. And so he wasn't seeking help. And the guides sent him to me to get some help. And they utilized my third eye. It was just one of the clearest visions. But that's how we can utilize our third eye, is we can ask and then we get an image. An image is shown to us, or it's happening all the time, actually, because we're thinking all the time, we're asking, we're desiring, we're worrying, and we're imagining stuff. Sometimes the imagination is connected to our worry, and sometimes it's connected to our asking. And often we write it off as imagination and pay no attention to it. You know me, when I teach this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
I say to people, what did you see? And they'll go, they've already written it off. No, that didn't make sense. Like, what was the first thing that came to mind? Nah, no. And then I, harass them until they tell me. And that, because we don't trust it. We haven't been taught
exactly
to trust our imagination or to trust that we're being guided. And a lot of people will say, I don't see. They say, but I feel. And then I say, okay, well, tell me what you're feeling. And they'll describe this full visual picture. And I said, you didn't see that, you felt that. And they go, yeah. So that feeling sense that comes as a picture is the same thing as the third eye, although you might feel it, like you feel the emotion of it, or you feel the frequency of it. It's like it's all connected, you know, the clairs.
Yeah. Well, and you're reminding me, and it was either you or my other spiritual teaching friend, Debbie, who told me, you know, I'm like, we were all in a class, and it really might have been you. And I said, well, I'm very clairaudient. I hear energy when I'm doing Reiki. I hear tones, frequencies. I hear it. And I said, but I don't think I'm clairvoyant. And whoever it was had been teaching me, it's like, you've been telling me all day what you see in your mind's eye with your third eye.
Like me.
Girl, that is clairvoyance.
Right.
So when you say it's like the clairs all combined into one, yeah, it's clairvoyance. And really, is that also more connected with our pineal gland, KAren? Is the third eye more pineal, or is the pineal all of it?
The pineal is all of it. I'm just asking you a question. The pineal is all of it. And I'm saying, how's the pineal connected to this? And what they're sharing with me is what I'm basically saying. They're saying awareness, awareness, awareness. So the pineal being activating the pineal is that part of you that stops meditation, you know, that stops to be more deliberate, to be aware of what's happening. I'm aware of what I'm feeling. I'm aware of what I'm thinking. I'm aware of the visions that are coming to me. I'm aware of how I'm feeling. I'm aware of the thoughts in my head, like that awareness, and then being more deliberate. That's all part of the pineal activation. That's all part of the evolutionary story of humanity. And when we're shut off, when we're shut down, when the DNA is shut down, we're just sort of being bumped around by the storm, you know, the waves, and feeling victimized, and being bumped around by the thoughts in our head and not being more deliberate with them. But yeah, we're all utilizing our third eye all the time. I'm thinking about the kids. Now, what's it called? Mind sight? They call it mind sight.
I tried to look it up when you mentioned it. I don't know. I'm being reminded too, while you look that up. You know, my late hubby Andrew, one of my Reiki friends who was very gifted, you know, gifted him a long Reiki session, drums and all this stuff. And he came out of it, and I said, how was it? And he said, well, it was so weird. I could swear she was like placing crystals on me. And he said there was a really heavy crystal right here. But when I reached up after, there was nothing there.
Yeah,
you know?
Interesting.
And it's like a pressure. And that's what it felt like for me when the first time I really became physically aware of my third eye. That's what it felt like to me, like something was actually pressing lightly on my forehead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I know, you can feel it. It's physical. Yeah. I remember one of the times my crown chakra awakened. I was massaging a Hollywood movie star that was out here making a B-grade movie. And I think I've shared this story many times, but anyway, I'll share it again. And I was in her bedroom in the hotel room, and she had a framed picture of some Indian guru with long dark hair. At the time, I didn't know any Indian gurus. I think it might have been Yogananda. I'm not sure. I'd love to ask her. And I had the question as I'm massaging her, what's all this Indian guru stuff about? Like, why has she got a framed picture of this Indian guy in her bedroom in a hotel room in Australia? And then I felt this physical, talk about pressure. God, it was the most incredible. I felt like my head was expanding, but physically. Like I felt like my ears were going to hit the walls. And I'm massaging this woman, and this is happening. I'm like, what the hell is happening to me? Because it felt physical. Like when we think about energy, physical energy is just energy. It's just denser energy that we perceive as solid or physical, but it's all energy, right? And so when energy is shifting, you feel it as physical. You can feel it physically. And then they started channeling through me, and I started to tell her why she was born into her family and what she was here to do. And I just started giving her this channeled message. It was the first time I really had that sort of channeling thing going on. They had to crack my crown chakra open, pour this wisdom in through my, physical, spiritual body.
I haven't heard you share that story before. before. No, that's fascinating, and then all of a
Well,
sudden you were okay with channeling this message.
well, I wasn't okay with it. The little me was screaming inside my head, shut the hell up. You don't know this stuff. Stop speaking. But I couldn't stop my mouth from speaking. It's like they took me over to deliver this message for her. And what they told her to do through me, she went on to do, because she was still chasing the Hollywood dream. And they told her she was a spiritual teacher, and she had this platform, this famous platform to, affect change, affect more people. And she was born into a famous family, and she had a dead sister, and they gave her the whole reason that all this stuff was happening for her life, which at the time, in my 20s, I think I was, maybe 30s, I can't remember. I just didn't know. I didn't know about this information. I didn't know I had access to this sort of information. And I was screaming in my head, stop speaking. And anyway, I left. And she was like, oh, that was great. That was really great. But she didn't know I was channeling. I didn't know I was channeling. She just thought it was me talking to her. Because when I do channel, it just looks like me talking to you. And I left, and I was like, in the car going, what the hell was that all about? And I had a headache for 3 days. And I remember I went to my acupuncturist, and I was telling him about it, and, heal me, because I had this throbbing headache, because my physical structure wasn't up to speed with the amount of energy that was flowing through me at the time, because I was still young and criticizing myself and unsure of myself. And not that any of that completely goes away, but it was a lot more potent in those days. And I wasn't a vibrational match to the energy. And so my physical structure sort of was hurting afterwards.
Can I tell you what vision I just got in my third eye for you?
Yes, please.
That you went there, and her guides were with her, or her yogis, or whatever, and you had a certain vibrational frequency, and they said, all right, are we going to use her? Let's use her. And they used you. And you had the frequency, even though the rest of you hadn't caught up. That's exactly, I just got this whole huge third eye vision.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Know?
Yeah, and getting back to the third eye, when people do tell stories, as we often do, you visualize it as people are speaking. Like, you visualize it. And even when you're speaking to someone on the phone and you don't know what they look like, before we could see people on phones, and it's like, what do I look like? And then you start visualizing it. And sometimes you can be way off. You can be completely wrong. But I remember years ago, again, doing a course, which I use when I might teach my students too, of this guy teaching us about our third eye ability. And he said, I'm going to think about somebody. He was doing it in just a little group. I think it was one of the Academy of Lights that I was facilitating, and he did this little exercise with us. I'm going to think about somebody, and I want you to think about and describe to me who I'm thinking about. It's going to be a friend of mine. Now, as you don't know who my friends are, what that person looks like, but I want you to pick the first thought that comes to mind, and it might be a friend of yours, and you're being given the image of someone you know. It might be an actor, it might be a friend of yours that is similar in look to what I'm visualizing in my mind. I guess he was sort of teaching us about telepathy too. And he would go around and he would ask people to describe what they're seeing. And they would describe friends or people they know or people they've seen. And then he came to me, and I was describing somebody I knew. And he was like, whoa, that's so spot on. But I wasn't seeing his friend. I was seeing the what I was given by my guides that were very similar to who he was visualizing. I thought that was a great exercise.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let me pull up this comment Heidi made. I've had an experience in a class. We were reading each other's auras. I said brick red, which I thought was kind of rude and not a pretty color, but it 100% resonated with the girl I was reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to trust whatever that is too.
Trust.
Yeah.
I remember Sandra Champlain talking about this. The first time she did a course, and she was blown away at how she had described something that was spot on. At the early part of the course, she was seeing something that was spot on to the other person. And then she got really confident and cocky, and she started visualizing all that stuff. And she said, and she was wrong for all the other times, but she was right the first time. And she's like, she scratched her head and she's like, how come I couldn't get it right the next time when I was right the first time?
Yeah.
And I thought about that. I listened to her say that years ago. I thought about that and I said, yeah, what was going on there with her? And I think that's when the intellect takes over. Because when we think, now I know how to do this, we try and control it with our intellect, with our mind, instead of allowing it to come.
Yeah.
And instead of being an empty vessel and just allowing source, soul, spirit to put inside your cup what they want you to see, to put inside your vessel, we start being more controlling and we start making up stuff like we start making up stuff which is not accurate. And the clue to all this is to relax and let it come. Relax and let it come. Relax and let it come, instead of trying to make it happen. Yeah, go on.
I recall sitting in one of your trainings with us with the Inner Sanctum a few years ago, and we were to get in touch with our galactic team or our higher team, like you call yours the mob. And I connected and I was taken up an elevator. I don't remember if that was part of your vision. I just know my stuff's always quite mechanical and stuff and abstract like that, not like beautiful flowing grassy knolls. My stuff's always like up an elevator and in a big empty room. But there were all these beings in there, and I'll tell you, they're very odd looking and they don't look like anything I've ever seen, although they're not ugly, but they're odd looking and they're very beautiful and loving. But I would have never imagined that in my whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
I really want to draw a picture of it so I could, see it out there, but I'm seeing it again, clear as a bell. And they're my team, my group or whatever. And they're really weird looking, and I would just never imagine that. So that was a validation to me.
Yeah, because you couldn't have
quite
imagined
the connection. Yeah, that it wasn't my imagination.
and you wouldn't want to imagine that either, because maybe you want them to all look like 9 foot tall, beautiful Palladians or something, rather than these really
exactly
crazy looking ETs.
Yeah. So when people are like, "Ooh, so what's your connection? Are you Palladian or whatever?" I'm like, I don't even know who they are, what to call them. I just know they're interesting looking.
They're interesting looking. Yeah, think about the trillions of life across the cosmos. We can't just stick to the Palladians. Rachel says, when we think too much about it, the filters kick in.
Rachel, right, hello.
Yeah, we haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Well, she always likes everything I do
on
Facebook. She's such a superstar. Yeah, thinking too much about it, but they do utilize our mind. And the thing about the third eye awakening, just like that vision I had of the sick washing machine repairman, you do when you see stuff, because a lot of people, as I said before, will say, I'm much more visual than I am clairaudient or clairsentient, and they rely on one clair. But even though you can see images really clearly, and it can be in full color, and it can be like, it's like you're in a holographic environment, sometimes you don't know what you're looking at. Like, you didn't know what you were looking at when you were taken to that realm where all those weird looking ETs were. And so you have to ask. And when you ask, you get that information to you in the form of thoughts, or sometimes it literally feels like someone's talking to you. So you hear a voice, or you just hear your own thoughts, or you have a knowing. What do you call that, Claire? Where you just know, like you get a download.
Is it clairsentient? I believe it's clairsentient.
I think that's clairsentience, like when you feel it.
Oh, claircognizance.
Claircognizance. There you go.
Yeah, just say a knower. You're just a knower. That's so much
I'm a
easier.
knower. Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. So I love the just knowing, because that's such much more efficient way of receiving information, rather than seeing it and then having to work out what the hell am I looking at, and then listening. Like, you just get this full download where you just know everything all at once. It's so bizarre. I think that I listened to someone talk about, it's like back in the days where you got a DVD. It's like somebody hands you a DVD. So you've got all this information in your hand, but to unwrap it, you have to put the DVD in the DVD player and press play and then watch the movie unfold. But yet you've been handed all the information in one go. Like, this is often what claircognizance is. It's like you get this knowing, and then trying to describe what you know is like a long process, even though you've received it in that one moment.
Oh, yeah. I love that visual. That's incredible. When my late husband comes through and I get messages from him, I get the immediate knowing, but it's in his voice and I can hear him say it, but it's not the whole sentence. It's the whole knowing at once. It's very like you just described, like it's all at once.
Yeah.
You know, but I've had a couple times when I'm like, oh, is that what they're talking about? Being a knower? Because I've been doing that for a long time. Like, I went to go see Suzanne Vega. Do you remember Suzanne Vega, the folk artist? And I went to go see her in concert a few years ago. And it was just her on stage with her guitar and maybe like a back guitarist or somebody light on the drums. It was just a very sparse lineup, setup. And I got up to go to the restroom and I came back and there was a young woman on stage with her. And I immediately said to myself, oh, that's her daughter. Okay, I had no idea. I don't even know. And, the show's going on and I'm like, no, she's just some backup singer. Like, I actually talked myself out of it. And then later, 3 or 4 songs down the road, she's like, so lovely having my daughter here with me. And I was like, oh, yeah. And it happens. I'm a cat person. We talk about it a lot here on the groups. I'm a cat person. I'm not a dog person. But I started to find like somebody will walk by with their dog and I'm like, oh, that's a such and such dog. I don't know how I know that name. That's a blue heeler. I don't even know what that is. And it's a female. And I don't know why I'm getting that information. I just do. And then, I won't even engage with the person because I don't want the dog to lick me. And somebody that I'm with will engage with the dog and they'll start finding out it's a blue heeler and it's a female or whatever. And so that knowing is so fast. And
it's
even
so fast.
When it's unexpected, not even when I'm searching for it.
This is something I find, I'm going to get to your question in a moment, Vladdy, but this is something I find confusing about receiving. It's better now, but when it first started happening, receiving information from spirit, it's so fast and it comes all at once. And then trying to find a way to get that information out of your mouth in a way that makes sense to people. I still do this. I receive so much information, I often don't finish my sentence because more information's coming and I'm desperately trying to keep up with the information that's coming. There's no way I can keep up with the speed of the information coming. And when I was online with the Galactic Gals yesterday on Twillo Talk, Hannah was saying, she's like, stop talking all at once. I'm listening to you, but you're talking all at once. And I laughed because I remember saying exactly that to the guides. I was doing a session with someone years ago and I felt like I had a whole room of people screaming at me. All her guides were trying to get all these messages through. And I'm like, okay, stop, one at a time, please, one at a time.
I have a friend, and now then we can get to Vladdy's question because it's fascinating. But she's an astrologer friend, and she just does it for fun, and she's always checking up with me. And then she gets messages, and she'll go, "Okay, give it to me in words. I can help her understand it." That's like she'll stop and say, "Give me the words to help me, understand."
Yeah,
because she's getting the message, but she can't put it into words. So
into words, yeah. So Vladdy's saying here, do you feel a difference between utilizing your third eye and using your imagination, or would you say it is the same? I would say it is the same. Your third eye is your imagination. Your third eye is you seeing through your mind. But having a third eye awakening is knowing or being aware of what you're seeing and being more deliberate in utilizing it. So we all imagine all the time. And I don't know if you're on at the beginning, Vladdy, but I was saying that usually we imagine things we don't want to create in our life. Like we'll watch something horrible and then we'll imagine that happening to us. And so we're utilizing our third eye, our powerful visualization to create, to image, to create something that we don't want in our lives. And this is when people say, when terrible things happened, I would never want this to happen to me. But have you watched a lot of stuff or had conversations where it's happened to others and worried about it happening to you and seen it happening to you? And it's like, yes. And then not being aware of how powerful your mind is. So I would say that your third eye and your imagination is the same, but the awakening is understanding how to be more deliberate, how to stop the worried thoughts being visual movies in your head and, creating whole movies of disasters in your life. What if I go broke? What if I get sick? What if I get old and can't do this? And then I can't do that. And then I can't do this. And because the thought and imagination is so connected, we're imagining all the time as humans. We're utilizing our third eye, our mind's eye. We're seeing stuff all the time.
Well,
having an awakening is being aware of how powerful that is.
Yeah, and wouldn't that be the collective consciousness? We're all visualizing the same thing.
Right,
and so that's how it's manifesting in a way. This is what Heidi says. My exact thoughts, I was wondering the third eye awakening could be when I experienced colors, visions, more clarity and such. Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I went to see you read my thoughts, Karen.
Yeah.
The first time I went to see a past life therapist, I went with my girlfriend, who's the one that died at 36. So we're in our early 30s and I'm dragging her around to all these things. She's not really interested in it, but she was intensely psychic. She just was too seduced by life. She married a rich man and there were things to do, there were clothes to wear and parties to go to and, drinks to drink and food to eat and places to visit on earth. And I'm into all this stuff. And I'm into all this stuff and dragging her around. Anyway, and I didn't see anything. I remember he took me through this hypnotic process. But what I saw as I lay there was just swirls of colors and colors and colors and colors. But I didn't see anything. And she came out and she said, oh, I saw this. And I was a woman and I was in this and then I was that. And she's telling me all these stories of all this stuff that she saw. And I'm like, whoa, like she just did it really quickly. For me, it didn't work for me the first time in that I didn't see any past lives. I just saw swirls of colors and colors and colors. And I came away really disappointed because I wanted to sort of have more knowledge into my past lives at that point. Again, I think I was in my early 20s. And she saw all this stuff. And then when she came out of it, she said to the guy, yeah, but I could have just been making all that up. And the guy was really pissed off. It's like, did you make all that up? But I don't think she understood. You don't make it up when it just comes to you. That's not you making stuff up. I've had this discussion often with Mary Rodwell, who takes people into hypnosis. And they say some stuff, this amazing stuff comes out of people's mouths, what they're seeing and who they are on other planets and why they're here and people creating universes and planets and all sorts of stuff. And she said, you don't make it up when it just comes to you. Yeah. Making up something is, if I say to you, design my bedroom, and then you've got to think about it. What color would you like on the walls? Would you like the walls to be white? What about blue? What about green? Like that's making stuff up. That's using your creative process to think. But when you relax and vision just comes to you, vision, and it comes thick and fast, that's you. That's the guides utilizing your third eye, your mind's eye, to bring information to you so you can see it. You can see your past lives. You can see your future lives. You can see other dimensions. You can see into the other side. You can see dead people. I see a lot with my third eye. I've learned to really trust it rather than saying, am I just making stuff up?
Yeah. I've had, just in my circle of people around me and friends that aren't necessarily spiritual or extraordinary, like we were saying the other day, like into extraordinary things. But they'll be like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm getting messages from, my father who passed away or, my sister or whatever. And I always do similar to what you say. And I'll say, if I start thinking about them or I feel like they're talking to me, it usually drops out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Just clean out of nowhere. I said, if I can follow the thought, like, oh, I saw that billboard and it made me think about taking the train. And then I remembered when we were kids and we rode that little train ride at the zoo. And then I started to think of my brother. Like that's different than boom, out of nowhere, this memory image, and my brother and his love engulfs me. And, it's way more like just drops in like that.
Just
And
drops
so,
in. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it could be our imagination, but I think our imagination helps us flesh it out.
Well, it is our imagination, but it is guidance utilizing our imagination to deliver a message. That's why I think we've got to redefine the word imagination, because what's connected to the word imagination is that it is not real. So if your guides or your soul is utilizing your mind's eye, your imagination, you're imagining stuff, they're utilizing the way you do that to deliver a message. Who's to say it's not real? A lot of people who are dead, have had near-death experiences, often speak about being in other realms with other dead people, whatever you want to call it, spirit, and they say it was more real. It was more real than this world. And I often think about this, when we die, we understand that this physical realm, this physical drama that we're all engaged in, is something we imagined. We made up. Our soul, it's our soul's imagining. It's like we made it all up. And yet we call this, we call our imagination not real and this real.
Yeah, there's
Heidi saying?
Oh yeah. Are you gonna pull up what Heidi says there?
Yeah, you pull it up. Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah. If you want, I'll read it. I had always thought that what I saw in my mind's eye was memories of movies or experiences, or even pareidolia, where you see faces and clouds and such, but I've learned to trust it. I've had several, then she continues in the next one. I've had several situations where I wouldn't have known. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fascinating. There's a whole line of spiritual teaching that I've learned, the Munai Ki, which is the Peruvian shamanism. And one of the guides, Oakley, I can't remember his name, that wrote a book that's like my favorite book on it. He calls it sincere pretending. And pretending could be almost viewed as worse, but like intention, use your imagination with sincerity, like sincere pretending. That. Yeah.
I would call life sincere pretending.
Yeah.
I would call that life. I would call that physical life, because we're pretending to be what we're not. We're pretending to be separate to each other. We're pretending to be angry. We're pretending to be upset. We're all that limiting thought forms is that sincere pretending. I love that, Kristin.
Yeah.
We're going to do a station ID break. You're listening to Elevate, the Awareness Shift, Awakening the Quantum Self on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. Get it right, Karen. Syndicated radio all over the place, coming out of the Gulf Coast and New Orleans on syndicated radio. There's a UFO. Woohoo! And we're talking about activating the third eye awakening. And as I said before, the awakening, we are utilizing our third eye all the time. Our third eye is our mind's eye. What did the Mormon Church call it? Spiritual eye.
Yeah.
What we see when we're not looking through our physical eyes, our imagination. Yeah. If I say to you, visualize your bedroom or visualize your house or your favorite beach, or what does your car look like, then you're utilizing your mind's eye. That is your third eye. That is the eye that is seeing outside of your physical eyes. And being awakening to that is being aware of how guidance is given to you through that. It's like discerning. Mm-hmm. It's discerning the difference between you utilizing your mind's eye to create a future you don't want, worry and visualizing things that you don't want, and being more deliberate and powerful in imagining the life you do want, and then receiving messages that are given to you from your soul, from spirit, from other realms, from other dimensions, that also utilizes your mind eye to deliver a message. Yeah. And that is what awakening is about, is awakening to the awareness of who you are as a quantum self, as a multidimensional being, as spooky action as a distance.
Spooky action at a distance, yeah.
Spooky action at a distance. Critical mass. Now, what's the word I'm looking for? Einstein described it as spooky action at a distance, where there is no separation between what's happening in two places that's happening simultaneously.
Oh, quantum entanglement.
Thank you. Quantum entanglement. Yeah.
And check out what Desley says too. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'd just like to say to people who are listening, we've got a lot of comments. I'm not looking at the comments. that if you're liking the show, please like and subscribe. We've got to get Kristin's YouTube channel up and running so you can like and subscribe on her channel as
Yeah.
well. Because the Elevate shows have been getting less and less traction lately. I don't know why. Maybe people think we're boring or I'm boring or whatever. But as I say, the algorithms on all the platforms that you listen to this on will know that you're interested in this. They'll show you more of it if you engage in the content. So not just the live comments, but after the show, leaving a comment and liking and subscribing. That's when the algorithm says you're interested in this, we'll show you more. And if you're interested in this, other people are going to be interested in this, so we'll show. So it's a way of spreading this knowledge, because what we're doing now is I'm just teaching people for free without charging you on these shows.
Yeah, and the intention was to start this more as a Q&A type of platform, the one during the week, and that's where Desley's got a question. That's why I put it up, which I think is a really good question.
I see energy everywhere, and when I go to bed at night, the picture show begins, and the downloads of the grids and the glyphs, swirling, pulsing colors. Why only at night and not during the day?
Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind, Desley, was that is what you believe happens. That's also an agreement that you've set up subconsciously with your team. At night is a time where you can pay attention to it, focus on it. Maybe during the day you're busy, you're doing things, you're seeing clients, you're busy. You can change that agreement. It's an agreement that you've got. Also, at night, when your mind is rested, is that time where you can utilize, you can be more aware of guidance. When we're awake during the day in our beta brainwave, where we're thinking about what to do next and what to say next and where to go next and what to buy and who to talk to, and we're in that sort of intellectual mind. It's harder to penetrate that mind than it is the rested mind, the alpha theta states. When you're in a more rested state, you have access to memory alpha. Then you drop into a theta brainwave. Often that happens just before we go to sleep. We drop into a theta brainwave just before we go to sleep. Often I do anyway. Often when I'm falling asleep, I'll feel that absolute bliss where I drop in frequency. And I'm just in this, this feels so good. And then bang, I'm out. And I want to be conscious of feeling that energy more, like, this is so nice. And then I've lost it. But it's like sleep allows us to drop into that. So at night your mind is more rested, so you can pay attention on the messages. But you can receive them anytime you want. I know you do.
Desley's pretty in tune.
She's in tune.
Yeah.
The thing about having a Q&A is all my people that watch the shows are so tuned in. They don't have any questions. They just want to tell me. They just want to tell me how it works for them. They're not asking questions.
True.
They're sharing stories. Yeah, you love that moment too. You know that moment, Shirley, where you're just falling asleep. I notice it so often, and you move into a different frequency.
Yeah, I felt that
like bliss.
Yeah, I felt that since I was like 10 or 12, because I don't sleep a lot and I have trouble falling asleep, and so I've been very aware of when that moment comes. And only in the last couple of years did I realize that's a very spiritual place to be. Even though I noticed it many years ago, but I do feel it's quite that hypnagogic. Like I can start getting messages. I don't know theta, beta. I need to study those, but
I love the way we use the word spiritual. To me, everything is spiritual. There's nothing that is not spiritual on this planet. Nothing, even the most heinous thing. It's all spiritual because we are spirit having a human experience. So everything is spiritual. But I know what you mean when we utilize the word spiritual. It's almost like utilizing the same word. It's a very aware place to be. We're more aware of who we are as energy, as spirit, as multidimensional. It's a more aware place to be. That's what awakening is all about, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I love that title.
So do I. And quantum meaning like my huge expansive self through the whole universe. Yes, right? Like the
quantum entanglement. Like we are entangled in or throughout time and space. We are physical and non-physical. We are galactic and human. We are past, present, and future all at once. We are quantumly entangled with source energy. There is no time. There is no space. We are entangled with all of it. Here in this third dimensional reality, we are experiencing limited linear time and space as the illusion that feels real. But as I say, often when people move to the other side or when we die, we understand that this is the dream and that that is the reality. But while we're here, we're believing this is the reality. Yeah, this is real. We always say, what's real? What's real and what's not real? All the scientists, that's not real because you can't prove it with a ruler.
But you know what? See this little thing in my hand? Like, I have this belief that, it sends messages through energy, all the
Right.
way that I could actually call you on it right now. We're speaking through waves. You're on the other side of the planet. It's tomorrow for you.
Right.
We're
What's
transversing
real?
time and space, and yet, we believe that we have to hook up to do this.
Yeah,
It's really
exactly.
funny.
Getting back to the psychic kids, the mind's eye, the kids, what do they call
Yes.
themselves? Shirley says here, the illusion is so, so real. Isn't it? Well, we make it so, so real unless we don't. Yeah, so the third eye awakening is being, reported. I don't know if I first saw it, but Caroline Corey showcased it in her movie documentary Superhuman. I'd seen it before then, but she went into it where the kids, not just kids, there are people all over the planet doing it, but she was showcasing the kids are seeing only with their third eye. They're reading books. They're playing sport outside. They can see everything through their third eye. What I loved about this is it's fascinating to see that. It's fascinating for the kids to see that. But I loved what Caroline brought to the documentary in that she had a friend who had gone blind during her adult life. And she taught her to do this. And now she could see, not through her physical eyes, but she could see everything around her through her third eye. I just loved that. So she could see again, but not utilizing her physical eyes. So what we do when we're outside of the physical body in an outer body experience, as we all are at night, often people would say, I had 360-degree sight. Like I didn't have to turn my head to see anything. Although you do hear a lot of NDEers talk about, I turned to the right and I saw this and I turned to the left. I think that's just the, utilizing the human understanding that we need to.
Right. I agree.
But often when you're looking through your third eye, which we're utilizing, I guess we're utilizing, I wouldn't say it's mind sight because you're even outside of the mind when you're outside of in and out, but you're seeing 360, like you're seeing everything all at once. And so you can utilize your third eye to do that while you're in your physical body. Like you can see behind you and like you can look at things through your third eye. Yeah.
I recall a few years ago in your inner sanctum having a similar discussion, and I actually practice this, but I think I just have too much muscle memory. But you were like, and I'm bringing this up because we could all work on it this way. You were like that you like to practice in the shower when your eyes are closed and it's all soapy and you can see where the things are in the shower to grab them because you're not using your waking eyes. And I have so few shower things and I like to think it's muscle memory that makes me grab the right bottle.
But
I think that's a really great way to practice.
The shower story was the first time when I was watching Caroline's documentary and all this stuff started to come up about the kids using their third eye to see the physical world. I started thinking more deliberately about it. And can I do that? And how do I do that? And the shower story was the first time I knew I was doing it, because the thing is that, yes, when you shut your eyes in the shower, you have memory. You know where things are. You know where the shower head is to take it off. I have ones that you can take off. You know where the soap is and the shampoo.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have that muscle memory. But I remember being in the shower and I was reaching up to grab the shower head to pull it off. And I saw very clearly in my third eye, like I was looking through my It wasn't a muscle memory. It was me utilizing my third eye to see. It was the first time that I knew I was doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But I haven't practiced it, and I don't do it often. I should practice it more. I'd like to practice it more. I'd like to get proficient like the kids are. But, you know, we practice this stuff when we need to. So like that woman that went blind, that friend of Caroline's in the documentary, she needed to do it, and she did it because it was a necessity, a need. And often when we have necessity and needs, we're more committed to it, whereas I'm not committed to it as much now. I love using my third eye to see into other dimensions and past and future, and to access guidance rather than to see the world around me that I can already utilize my physical eye. So why bother using my third eye? Yeah, what did you want to say?
Oh, and I would love to have a discussion on this. Remote viewing, is that all remote viewing is? It's just...
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely is what it is. Yeah. When I was during the Australian fires, I often think about this. I was in the shower worrying about the animals being burnt. When I say the Australian fires, we've had worse fires this year down in the southern part of Australia, down in Victoria, that we had in 2019, 2020, when the world was worried about Australia and all the animals, and the koalas were burning and everything. And everyone was worried about the poor little koalas burning. So I was in the shower worrying about it, and I was taken to a ship. So I'm in the shower feeling the water run over my body. And I'm aware that I'm in the shower. Like I never at one point left my body and was unaware of where I was in my physical circumstances. But I'm out in space and I'm looking up at this ship, and it's tilted. I know the space, I don't know why it's tilted, but and I'm looking at the underneath of this ship, and I'm just at awe at how beautiful it is. I'm like, oh, what? I didn't know that. It was so beautiful. So I'm out there. So what am I doing? Remote viewing. And then I'm inside the ship, and I see the greys. They have all the DNA of all the animals all over the planet, and they're cuddling like there are greys in this pristine white environment, like clear, like I couldn't see hardly any furniture, and they're cuddling koalas. And I thought that was such a cute, and they're basically saying, you know, don't worry, no animal can go extinct. We've got it sorted. Some of them we've taken out, we'll put back, but I think I've told you that many of them were wiped out because they had a disease, chlamydia.
Yeah, you were saying.
But when I came out of that experience, because at no time was I not aware that I was in the shower as this was happening, it didn't feel like I was remote viewing. I don't know, it felt kind of strange. So I asked my guides, what's happening there? And they said to me, you weren't out of your body, but you were connecting to an aspect of you that is out of your body. And I'm like, I love that. Wow, am I? And that aspect of you that's out of your body, that's not physically focused, can, you know, cruise around the universe and look at spaceships and be inside spaceships. Was that remote viewing? Is that a remote viewing? Maybe. Is that what we understand as remote viewing? Or are we just utilizing our consciousness? Because I've done it before. During September 11, time is it? I was at home in Australia watching it, you know, play over and over again on the television, and I wanted to help. I felt like I needed to help. And I took myself over there in my imagination. I remote viewed, and I saw all the souls leaving their body, and I saw all these other souls who had been physically focused, like the firemen and other people who had died, helping people who had died that didn't know they were dead. And the firemen were very... the firemen were the ones saying, look, come with me, because the people were now dead, and they saw a fireman and they trusted the fireman to take them where they needed to be. Even though the fireman was dead and they were dead, the fireman knew that he was dead, but the person didn't. It's like, it's okay, you're safe, come with me. And so they were helping people cross over, for a better word, or helping people in the confusion of being 1 minute alive, 1 minute. And I was just watching all this unfold, but at the same time, I'm still in my body, in my house in Sydney. I'm just sort of imagining it, but it felt like I was there. Was I remote viewing? Probably remote viewing, but remote viewing in another dimension. I wasn't remote viewing on the physical earth. I was remote viewing in an astral plane where people are when they first leave their body. And to me, it was amazing. I was given all this information that a lot of the firemen that died had this agreement that that's what they would do, that they would die, and they would be conscious and aware of who they are as guides, as angels, to help people, because there was this mass crossing over to help
Right.
people. And it was fascinating to me. But yeah, that's all part of the third eye. I mean, it's awesome. Awesome. I just saw your word, Shirley. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
What we can do, like where we can go, what we can do, what we can look at. Who needs Netflix when you've got your third eye open?
It's your quantum self, Karen.
Right.
Yeah. Your quantum self connecting.
But it was interesting to me that the guide said there's always a part of you that's not physically focused. It's not in your body that you can connect to, and then utilize that connection of you here and you there and what that part of you sees.
Is that higher self then? Or is that different?
No, they're saying it's not higher self. It's an aspect of the soul aspect, because the soul is, mighty, and the soul extends itself into different physical forms. But there are, the aspects of the soul are extending itself into the physical realm, the astral realm, the causal realms. Like, it exists in all different, we are multidimensional. We exist in all different layers of reality, and we can connect to those different realms. Often when I'm speaking to higher guidance, I'm connecting to I call it higher. It's not really linear. It's not higher or lower, but more exalted wisdom that's coming through as guidance. It's not really connecting into the astral realms. I'm connecting to a different level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Thank you for these words. Level of consciousness. Yeah.
I'm so excited for that information you just gave me, because that is different than the higher self, which, I can't wait the next time I get into my theta state and delve in. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Maude. Thanks, Maude.
Play.
Thanks,
Karen. We've run out of time. I've got so many stories on this. Yeah, we've run out of time. Thank you, Kristin. That was a great chat. Goes so quickly, doesn't it? Thank you, luscious ladies online. Lots of people have jumped off already. And Vladdy, yeah. And I found out that Sun Dragon is a guy. I keep calling him a woman. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you do.
He's not on today. Maybe he got offended I called him a woman. But thanks, everyone. And, send us what you want to talk about next week. Let us know. Go to KarenSwain.com or send me an email at questions@KarenSwain.com. Or leave a comment under the videos and ask Kristin and I what you want to talk about. What do you want to hear on Elevate? Questions or things that you want to talk about or stories you want to share. We'd love to hear them. Wow, that does go quickly, I know, Shirley. Big love to all of you. Thanks, Kristin. Bye for now.